Hello and welcome to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about dealing with your own parents in this parenting journey.
So the big question is this: how are parents like us, who don't have a manual, who are doing the best we can, who feel as though we aren't enough, how are we going to raise healthy, happy children who we are proud of and still keep our sanity in that process? That's the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. My name is Ryan Roy, and welcome to I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, a podcast for parents who are being real with themselves.
Hello and welcome back to this episode of I Don't Know Jack About Parenting, where today I'm going to be talking about dealing with your own parents in this parenting journey. And what came about is, again, in a first-time fathers group on Facebook. If anybody wants to join one, you need to be a man, a father, have one on the way, or have one currently, and are just looking to empower other dads while continuing to empower yourself. Find us on First Time Fathers on Facebook. There was a message in the feed, and one of the guys said, and I'm actually going to it right now, it says he wants to vent a little bit. Is anybody else having any challenges or problems? He said, I like the word challenges, with his mother-in-law. She's getting on my wife's last nerve, and she's upset that his mom saw the baby before she did. And listen, here's the deal. In-laws or parents raised you, and now that you're procreating yourself, they feel as though they did their job with you right, or if they feel like they could have done a better job and now they have all this knowledge, they want to empower you with this knowledge. Now, I don't know how old you are when you're listening to this, but I'm 43 years of age. I was 35 when my first son was born. And what I started to realize really quickly is we were getting a lot of unsolicited advice from people in general, but most importantly, from the people we cared about the most and cared about us the most. Both my wife and I are avid readers and pretty independent people who, when we seek knowledge, really don't have a hard time finding it. Whenever we went to doctor visits, my wife stole every magazine that was there. I feel bad for the other parents because literally she would swipe them all. She would read them all. We were reading books. We downloaded apps. We have access to information like never before. We're not interested in old wives' tales and things like that where people say, you want the baby to sleep, put a little bit of cereal in his milk. Or you know what, if whatever it may be, all these things that old school that were passed on from generation to generation that weren't necessarily fact-based but opinion-based, all that information, not that it isn't good, but now that we have access to daily emails from certain websites or app updates, and we have an abundance of parenting information that we could pull from, not to mention if we have any specific question, we could Google it or put it into a chat feed where we could get almost instant feedback from many parents currently going through a scenario. So I'll say this because my experience is this. When my wife and I had our first child, we had to rely on my mother-in-law to help us watch him while we were both working. And one of the things that we did and continue to do is our children are on pretty regimented schedules. Like, they eat and sleep, and because they eat and sleep at the same time, they tend to poop at the same time and pee at the same time and get diaper changes at the same time. And our lives and our days are 100% predictable. And when we would hand a little guy off to grandma, and I would say, hey, did he nap today? And she's like, oh, I put him down at 11. And I was like, 11? He's supposed to go down at 9. Well, he wasn't ready. What would happen is a day or two later, this child, it would for days we couldn't get him to nap when we needed him to nap, right? Our schedule. This isn't about his schedule. And just so you know, people out there, you can train your children to your schedule. If not, they will train you to their schedule. And guess what? Their schedule sucks because they have no life experience. So they just whine and cry and wail and do all this stuff whenever they want. That's not a freaking schedule. That's chaos. And if you want chaos in your house, by all means, allow that. But if not, create a schedule that works for you. And it takes time, and it takes training, and it takes patience, and it takes some perseverance and some consistency. But that's true for everything in life that you want to be successful at. And I encourage you to be successful in this thing I call a parenting journey. See, I don't know jack about parenting itself, but I do know that we are all basically the same. We all love and thrive off of structure. We may not like it all the time, but we thrive on predictability. Most of us want to know what's happening the next day. We want to know that they're secure. We want to know that there's a paycheck coming. We want to know that our spouse will walk through the door at the end of the day home from work. We want to know that there is going to be 3 square meals a day. We want to know that our kids are going to be in a good school that is educated. And if we didn't know those things, there would be a level of chaos, inconsistency, that would leave us in a place less desired than if we have those things. So we want to create that space as parents for our kids. And my mother-in-law, when I said, listen, we need to be on a schedule. Whether he's ready or not, here we come. He's going down in the crib, and if he wails and cries, let him wail and cry. But at 9 o'clock, he needs to know that he's going in the crib. And if you cannot adhere by our rules and our schedule, just let us know. We'll find somebody else to watch the kid. We need you to follow our rules and our boundaries. And I remember her getting upset at me and with me. And what she didn't realize is how badly his schedule got thrown off, and how much it threw us off as parents, and how we had to work extra hard to retrain him, only to hand him off a week later and her do the same thing. It's our child, it's our rules. And yes, I appreciate that you're willing to help, but if you're unwilling to do it the way we need you to do it, then guess what? Your services can be replaced by somebody who is less loving, who isn't as attached emotionally. And we don't want that. We just want this structure followed. And I remember the frustration, and I believe it was this, and I think somewhere along the way it was told to us this way, like, hey, I raised her, your wife, my daughter, and she turned out just fine, so what's wrong with my way? Nothing wrong with your way. In your day and age, in your day and time, when you were a stay-at-home mother with grandma around helping you, with no access to information other than what the doctors 40 years ago didn't have the information that we have today. So now in today's day and age, having a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge, like, not that she did this, but when she was having children, you could smoke in a hospital. It was cool to smoke, and nobody knew that it had addictive qualities. So do I want that mindset in charge of my children? So I offered her, I said, listen, this structure stuff isn't coming from like, this is how we want to be. We've read books, we've read this. As a matter of fact, I said to her, we get a daily update from this website that you can get a daily parenting tip every single day. And that was received with, why do I need a daily parenting? Why do I need daily parenting advice? I've already raised 2 children. And that mindset, just so you guys know, is one that lacks the desire to grow. Why would I want my child to be around someone who lacks the desire to grow? Because this is the person who's going to be spending time with my child, and I want the person spending with my child to grow my child. You get that? I want my child to be taught and be able to learn. And anyone who's open to learning is typically open to teaching. See, I don't know jack about parenting, but I know that our parents and my in-laws can be a royal pain in my ass. And I'm sure they're a royal pain in your ass, but just know that they had their opportunity and now they're dealing with their offspring, telling them, hey, you did it your way, I'm doing it my way. And if you didn't do it your way because you weren't able to create boundaries for grandma and grandpa, that's on you. I'm creating the boundaries. Either live by them or not. But just know if you decide not to, you're not going to get access to your grandchild. And that may seem harsh, but this is my house. These are my rules. And if you don't like it, like Eddie Murphy would say, get the fuck out. Because I'm having my opportunity. And I will ask you questions and I will ask you advice. And I expect you to give it. But don't think that I'm obligated to follow it. My mom is a wealth of information. My mother-in-law is a wealth of information. But I want them to feed me the information that I ask for. Because those are the challenges that I need to overcome. Not giving me their opinion on stuff. Not giving me, oh, we used to do it this way, so it's okay. People used to also beat the crap out of their children as a form of punishment. And statistics say kids that were punished that way tend to be more violent as adults. Now, do I want my child to be violent? No, so I've never hit them. But it was okay back in the day. I don't want old school mentality, right? I like some of the structure and the, hey, ownership and accountability and respect and all those things. Those things will always be a high priority. But beating the crap out of your kids? Nope. Making them eat all their vegetables and every last thing on their plate as if they're never going to see another plate of food in a country of abundance and people who are obese? Nope. Don't want those rules. So those are ingrained in them. And if you don't create your boundaries for your children, who will? I don't know jack about parenting, but I do know that my parents and my in-laws can be a pain in the ass. And if I don't create the boundaries, nobody else will. Take ownership of your parenting ability and allow yourself the ability to succeed and fail, because you will fail. But through failure, as long as we learn from those failures, you will have success. We'll see you in the next episode.
Do you want to be the dad you wish you had? If so, go get my free book, Be the Dad You Wish You Had, at BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com. Inside, you'll find my most effective 40 tips to quickly and easily transform yourself into the ideal dad. Go to BeTheDadYouWishYouHad.com now and get it while it's free.